In the tranquil town of Maplewood, known for its lush parks and friendly community, lived a young woman named Claire Bennett. Maplewood was a town where neighbors greeted each other warmly, and families gathered for picnics in the town square. Claire, at 23, was a bright and ambitious woman who had dreams of building a successful career in marketing. She lived with her boyfriend, Tom, in a cozy apartment on Cedar Street. Claire and Tom had been together since their college days, sharing dreams and aspirations. Their love was strong, and they envisioned a future filled with success and happiness. However, their lives took an unexpected turn when Claire discovered she was pregnant. The news was met with a mix of joy and anxiety, as they both knew their lives were about to change dramatically. As Claire's pregnancy progressed, she and Tom prepared for the arrival of their baby with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They decorated the nursery with pastel colors and whimsical animal decals, and they attended prenatal classes to learn about childbirth and parenting. Their friends and family showered them with gifts and well wishes, and Claire felt a sense of anticipation and hope for the future. Despite the outward support, Claire couldn't shake the nagging fears and doubts that crept into her mind. She worried about how she would balance her career and motherhood, and she felt a growing sense of anxiety about the changes that lay ahead. Tom tried to reassure her, but he too was grappling with his own fears and uncertainties. As the reality of impending parenthood set in, Claire began to feel the weight of her new responsibilities. The excitement of starting a family was soon overshadowed by the challenges she faced during her pregnancy. She experienced severe morning sickness, fatigue, and mood swings that left her feeling overwhelmed. Tom tried to be supportive, but his demanding job left him with little time to help Claire. She often felt isolated and alone, her once vibrant social life dwindling as her pregnancy progressed. The physical and emotional toll of carrying a child began to take a toll on Claire's mental health. The birth of their daughter, Emily, was a moment of joy, but it was also the beginning of a new set of challenges. The sleepless nights, constant feedings, and the relentless demands of caring for an infant left Claire exhausted. She struggled to balance her new role as a mother with her desire to continue her career. The pressure to be the perfect mother weighed heavily on her, amplifying her feelings of inadequacy. Claire's days were a blur of feeding, changing diapers, and trying to soothe Emily's cries. The once peaceful nights were now filled with the sound of a crying baby, and Claire found herself waking up multiple times each night to tend to her daughter's needs. The lack of sleep and the constant demands of motherhood left her feeling physically and emotionally drained. Tom's job kept him away from home for long hours, and although he tried to help when he could, the burden of caring for Emily fell primarily on Claire. She felt a growing sense of resentment and frustration, and she began to question whether she was cut out for motherhood. The guilt and shame she felt for having these thoughts only deepened her sense of isolation. As the months passed, Claire's feelings of overwhelm and isolation deepened. She began to experience intense bouts of anxiety and sadness, and she found it difficult to bond with Emily. The joy she had once felt at the prospect of motherhood was replaced by a crushing sense of inadequacy and despair. Despite her efforts to seek help, Claire was met with dismissive attitudes from some healthcare professionals who chalked her feelings up to the baby blues. The stigma surrounding mental health, particularly postpartum depression, made it difficult for her to find the support she desperately needed. She felt ashamed and guilty for struggling, convinced that she was failing as a mother. The days became a blur of feeding, changing diapers, and trying to soothe Emily's cries. Claire's exhaustion turned into a deep, unrelenting fatigue that left her feeling like a shell of her former self. She withdrew from her friends and family, unable to admit the extent of her struggles. The walls of their cozy apartment felt like a prison, and Claire longed for an escape from the overwhelming demands of motherhood. Claire's once vibrant personality began to fade, and she found herself feeling numb and disconnected. She struggled to find joy in the activities she had once loved, and she felt a constant sense of dread and anxiety. The weight of her responsibilities felt like a heavy burden, and she began to question whether she could continue to cope. Tom noticed the changes in Claire, but he didn't know how to help. He tried to be supportive, but his own exhaustion and stress made it difficult for him to fully understand what Claire was going through. The distance between them grew, and Claire felt increasingly isolated and alone. One fateful evening, after a particularly difficult day, Claire reached her breaking point. Emily had been unusually fussy, and nothing she did seemed to calm her. The relentless crying felt like a never-ending assault on her senses, and she was consumed by a sense of helplessness and despair. In a moment of utter desperation, Claire made a decision that would change their lives forever. Overwhelmed by her emotions and the crushing weight of her mental health struggles, she harmed Emily, an act driven by her inability to cope with the overwhelming stress and exhaustion. The incident occurred in the quiet confines of their apartment, away from prying eyes. Tom returned home to find their daughter injured and Claire in a state of shock and panic. He immediately called for emergency assistance, and paramedics arrived to transport Emily to the hospital. The sight of their tiny, fragile daughter hooked up to machines was a stark contrast to the joyful moments they had shared as a family. As Claire sat in the hospital waiting room, she was consumed by a mix of horror, guilt, and remorse. She couldn't believe what she had done, and she was terrified of the consequences. The reality of her actions hit her like a tidal wave, and she felt as though her world was falling apart. The community of Maplewood was shocked and horrified when news of the incident broke. Claire was arrested and charged with a grievous crime, her once bright future now overshadowed by the darkness of her actions. Emily, though injured, survived and was taken into the care of her paternal grandparents, who were devastated by the events that had unfolded. The once close-knit community of Maplewood was shaken to its core. Friends and neighbors struggled to reconcile the Claire they knew, a loving and dedicated mother, with the one who had committed such an unthinkable act. The court proceedings revealed the depths of Claire's mental health struggles, shedding light on the silent battle she had been fighting. Tom stood by Claire, torn between his love for her and his duty to protect their daughter. He spoke about the Claire he knew, the kind and caring woman who had been consumed by an illness she couldn't control. His testimony highlighted the need for greater awareness and support for mental health, particularly for new mothers facing postpartum depression. The trial was a painful and emotional ordeal for everyone involved. The courtroom was filled with tension as the details of the incident were revealed. Claire's defense team argued that she had been suffering from severe postpartum depression and that her actions were the result of a mental health crisis. Mental health experts testified about the devastating impact of untreated postpartum depression and the urgent need for better support and resources for new mothers. Throughout the trial, mental health professionals testified about the severity of Claire's postpartum depression and anxiety. They explained how these conditions, left untreated, could lead to devastating consequences. The case sparked a broader conversation about the importance of mental health support for new mothers, breaking the silence that had long surrounded the issue. Claire was ultimately sentenced to a psychiatric facility, where she received the treatment and care she had needed all along. Though her actions could never be justified, there was a growing understanding of the circumstances that had led to that tragic night. The community of Maplewood rallied together to support Emily and her grandparents, ensuring that she would grow up in a loving and nurturing environment. Tom visited Claire regularly, their conversations a mix of sorrow and hope. He shared stories of Emily's progress and the support they were receiving from the community. Claire, though burdened by guilt, found strength in the knowledge that her daughter was being well cared for. The psychiatric facility provided her with therapy and medication, slowly helping her to rebuild her shattered sense of self. The community of Maplewood began to heal as well. People came together to discuss the importance of mental health awareness and the need for better support systems for new mothers. Local organizations and support groups were established, offering resources and assistance to those who were struggling. The tragedy that had shaken the town became a catalyst for positive change, as people recognized the importance of compassion and understanding. In the years that followed, Maplewood became a beacon of awareness and support for mental health issues. The town established programs and resources for new mothers, aiming to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Claire's story, though heartbreaking, served as a catalyst for change, inspiring the community to prioritize mental health and provide the support that so many desperately needed. Emily grew up surrounded by love and care, her resilience a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Claire, though forever marked by her actions, found solace in her treatment and worked towards healing. Her story, Broken Bonds, the dark side of young motherhood, became a poignant reminder of the importance of understanding, compassion, and the critical need for mental health support. Maplewood's transformation was profound. The town's commitment to mental health awareness extended beyond new mothers, reaching anyone in need of support. Schools, workplaces, and community centers all played a role in fostering a culture of openness and understanding. The tragic events had left an indelible mark on Maplewood, but they had also paved the way for a brighter and more compassionate future. Tom continued to be an advocate for mental health, sharing their family's story with others and working with local organizations to provide support for those in need. The bonds between the townspeople grew stronger as they rallied around a common cause, determined to create a community where no one felt alone in their struggles. Claire's journey was one of healing and redemption. Though she could never undo the past, she dedicated herself to helping others who faced similar battles. Her courage in confronting her own demons and seeking forgiveness served as an inspiration to many. And so, Maplewood thrived, its streets filled with laughter and joy, forever grateful for the courageous deeds of Claire, Tom, and the countless individuals who had turned tragedy into a beacon of hope. The story of broken bonds remained a testament to the power of community, compassion, and the unbreakable human spirit. Don't miss out on the excitement. Like, share, and subscribe to be part of our vibrant community. Let's embark on this magical journey together and create memories that will last a lifetime. Thank you for being a part of our storytelling family.